Show. I'm Larry Kalvik, founder and CEO of the Haven Financial Group. Thanks for listening. Give us a call at 612-504-8400 or havenfinancialgroup.com. A great website, a lot of communication there, a lot of tools, a lot of classes coming up here fourth quarter. So check us out there. And again, Kim, we're talking to the Gen Xers, but really all the generations that are listening, because retirement may sound like it's so far away and next thing you know, it's here. So it's important to get started early, but you don't just set it in stone and leave it. This is an ongoing, or should be an ongoing discussion.
Absolutely. So, you're so right. We sort of tailored this show toward Gen Xers, but I think there are nuggets in here that are imperative for those who are already in retirement, those young people who are out there thinking, wow, should I get into this 401k? That's money out of my budget each month, and I'm not making that much money. Well, the answer you've already heard from Larry is yes, get in, get in now. And then those who are really getting a little bit closer and maybe you've started to sketch out a portfolio and you need some help. We're kind of just addressing all of those age groups. Let's talk, though, about some of the unique tips that you have for people when they start to, think about and they're starting to head into those retirement years. And let's start with creating a comprehensive retirement budget. I mean, that's got to be number one on the list.
It is. It all starts with what I call our discovery meeting. You get to know us. We get to know you, your family, your situation, your story. That's important. Where you want to go in retirement, what's the timeline of it? Is there going to be lifestyle changes? What are your goals and objectives? And really boiling down expenses, both now and future. And when we say that, a lot of times people will throw a number out and then realize that was way too low. When we do our comprehensive planning, or some might call it Monte Carlo projections, we're really looking 20, 30, 35 years out. Retirement can be a third of your life potentially.
Sure.
Planning for the long run, big questions. Do I have enough to retire? Will I run out at 75 or 95? So when we factor in expenses, we also factor in inflation. The last 3 years we've been talking and how inflation's changed people's budget. It's hurt their savings plans. So we factor in big ticket items, a car 5 years from now, what's your travel budget. We want to include everything in this planning process. It doesn't do any good to have unrealistic numbers or unrealistic expectations. We really want to review this and make changes because life happens quickly. And if your expenses go up or whatever that might be. So that's certainly part of our planning process.
Absolutely. Then I know you guys, and we talked about this earlier in the show, you explore retirement savings vehicles. You talk to people about what their options out there might be.
Yeah, we encourage people to look at all their options. When I say all of the options, from having good liquidity, savings checking, money market, high yield savings, whatever that may be, kind of more shorter term liquid accounts. And I always say there's a real problem there for a lot of people. And there's goals and benchmarks that we use. And then making sure you're not taking all the risk of the market, having a good understanding of, are you in a comfortable position? Or are you exposed to too much, and having an understanding of that? And then really looking at all the other options. Are you maxing out HSAs? I will tell you that our opinion is the HSA is probably more important than Roth, just because it's tax-free going in, it's tax-free coming out, and you're going to have medical expenses that HSAs will probably really help you when you retire. So again, that's just one vehicle. And again, looking at, do you need to replace income? We talked earlier about using annuities for a guaranteed lifetime income. Is it appropriate? Is it not appropriate? The good thing is we have everything on the menu, and our job isn't to steer anybody any direction. It's to look at all the options, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, and then also help people get an understanding of what they're paying. People should know what they're paying. There should be no surprises. And that's really where a partner like us really can help people out, hold them accountable, and continue to give people the number one, the education, but number two, I stress it often, the attention that people deserve and many people are not getting.
Sure. One of the things, Larry, as we've talked about, Gen Xers, and as we said, we sort of tailored this show for Gen Xers, but we haven't really pointed out one of the things that makes that generation really different. Yes, we did say they don't necessarily have pensions, and that's certainly important. But another thing about Gen Xers is that when they come and sit down with you, they are going to be dealing. They're a real sandwiched generation. They've got parents who are living longer because people are just living longer, and then they've got these young people who are sort of struggling to get on their feet. What are some of the things that you talk to future retirees about when it comes to being sandwiched in the middle?
It can be very difficult. You're right. Taking care of elderly parents and then also have kids still on the payroll. Unfortunately, some that get enabled and eat up people's retirement. It's a very big challenge. And we want to talk through those situations and develop a strategy, both now and future. How does that make sense? It's very, very challenging. I also want people, sometimes people, well, can I work in retirement? Well, maybe part-time work may be a good idea. Maybe easing into
Mhm.
retirement is a good idea rather than just cold turkey. And I say that because we're in Minnesota and I hear it so often that I wished I wouldn't have retired in the fall because winter here, obviously, we know can be very, very long. I wish that I would have retired in the springtime. So just something I want to point out because we still have clients that go get part-time jobs. I can't tell you how many of our clients or folks we sit with are going to volunteer or they're golf rangers or they're starters. Maybe that helps the free golf during the summer. Most people still have to have a purpose. The
Mhm.
recliner 24 hours a day, probably not a good long-term health plan. So again, all of these things are so important. It's all encompassing in our conversations to talk through all of these. And again, that's where having a partner throughout this is extremely important.
Yeah, I think that baby boomers really, it's hard for baby boomers to retire because they've worked so hard all their lives and suddenly they don't know what to do with themselves. But I think Gen Xers are going to be that same way. Certainly the older portion of Gen X, they've been hard workers.
Oh, they have been. I was blessed to be brought up on a farm. My parents still crop farm
Mhm.
at 79 and 77. Thankfully, I got that work ethic. So people say, "Well, how long are you going to work, Larry?" That is a big question mark. I think it'll be a long time, God willing.
Yeah.
But again, it's a lot of the same traits I think with the Gen Xers. Maybe some week we'll talk about those that are even way younger. Maybe not, Kim, but maybe we will, maybe we won't. But if I could just point out in closing, this is the end of the year, and there's some serious. I want listeners to know, fourth quarter. There's certain things. There's timelines, and we're in the fourth quarter. Required minimum distributions, if they need to be taken, they all need to be taken really by the 1st of December because you don't want to wait till the end of the year because you risk not getting them. So if RMDs are inherited RMDs, if you haven't, make sure that you're talking through that ahead of time. If you need to take any end of the year withdrawals because you haven't filled the 12% bracket up, if it makes sense tax wise, don't wait till the middle of December because it's probably going to be too late. Roth conversions, don't miss that opportunity. You and I already talked about annual enrollment. Don't let human nature create complacency. And I just read a study that average American wastes over $1,000 a year on not being in the right healthcare plan.
Yeah.
So end of the year, and we initiate a lot of this at Haven Financial Group, but we don't want to leave these things to the last second. So I can't emphasize the timeline of these things. And before you know it, it'll be the holidays. And by that time, some of these things will be too late.
Absolutely. And our lives get crazy busy. And so you've heard it straight from Larry here, folks. You don't want to miss these deadlines. So if you're not sure which one of these deadlines, if any, or if all are important to you and your portfolio or what you have planned, give Haven Financial Group a call. It's 612 504 8400. And I really want to suggest that you do this pretty quickly because you just heard Larry say it. I mean, we're coming up on the end of the year here, and the folks at Haven are very busy as well. And we want to get you in there if at all possible. 612-504-8400. That is a number where you can set up a consultation. You can go to havenfinancialgroup.com, learn more about Haven and about some of those educational seminars that are coming up in the fourth quarter. 612-504-8400. This has been a great show, Larry. I wait to the very end to bring up something that's sort of a bad subject. I don't know what happened to the Vikings last weekend, and I'm very sorry. And I sat there watching, and all I could think about was you. I just want you to know that.
It was the first game I watched from the beginning to the end due to scheduling, and it was a heartbreaker. They gave it a good fight, but at the end of the day,
they're a great team.
They're still okay. I think we're going to be fine. Go Vikes, and give us a call at the Haven Financial Group. You have nothing to lose. Tie all those retirement puzzle pieces up. 612-504-8400 or havenfinancialgroup.com. Kim, great to be with you again.